Before we started, I would like to know who do we have here? Which country are you guys from? Because you all look very different. So can I start from you? Where are you from? You're from China? Nice to meet you. And China too? China? China?
I'm from France.
France, wow. And
I'm from Italy.
wow, Italy, okay.
I'm from Spain.
Okay, so the European side are over there. And next?
China.
China?
From
China as well? China? China? Oh, the population here in China. And you? Thai. Is this first time here? Well, thank you for being a representative. And
I'm from Bangladesh.
Bangladesh, wow.
I am from Guatemala,
Guatemala.
Latin America.
Wow. Whoa. Wow, diversity here. So, so now we know that there are many countries here. We're expecting our Thai friends to come in a bit, but just to start briefly is I'm your host today. My name is Sarah. I'm Thai, but my parents are Chinese, so I look a bit Chinese. But I'm trying to learn Chinese too, so if you could help me as well, I'll try to learn that. So we would have our 10 Thai students come join us. They're from bachelor, master, and doctoral, and from different varieties of faculty. Many of you here are also very diverse in your culture, your nationality. So I hope that you guys all open to learn new things between one another and also with the Thai students as well. Alright, so to just briefly tell you about the objective of this ASEAN cross-cultural class is to understand and appreciate the culture of ASEAN countries. And during that, we can also learn about each other's culture as well. And to the opportunity to improve relations, exchange experiences between the ASEAN countries, and to develop quality of graduates of universities with international skills and can adapt to the ASEAN community. So now, just to make it a little formal for this cultural class, we would like to invite Associate Professor Dr. Nisit Pantamit, Head of Center of ASEAN Studies, Chiang Mai University, to open this class.
Good morning, everyone. So welcome to our event. That's such a great honor to be here in the morning. This is my first time that I see, meet with Sarah. So she will have the outstanding, the host, and also we were responsible to take care for all of us into the directions and the objective already mentioned by her. So on the behalf of Center of ASEAN Studies, Chiang Mai University, this is one of our mission to bring our students and to bring the people from all over the world to be here in Chiang Mai. I have so many questions for some students, even from Guatemala, from Bangladesh, and also Spain, right? And also French and Italy. I have a lot of students from China in my class in the bachelor degree. I think they have one student right over there, and his name is Jerry, right? Jerry, where you come from? Singapore. So that represents one of the mountain countries in ASEAN. So the objective of today, as like I mentioned, the Center of ASEAN Study recognize the importance of the promoting and developing students, as well as developing of university personnel, especially in terms of learning experience, cultures, traditions, language, and society within ASEAN. So our main objective of today, the ASEAN cross-culture class, aims to understand and appreciate the cultures of ASEAN countries, like Sarah mentioned. So this is the opportunity of the participants in this event to join and to cooperate and get some of the closer relationship and to learn more about our regions. And you will understand more why Chiang Mai now take off from the local into the regional and the global city. That's one of the things that Chiang Mai University, especially my center, want to promote. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I would like to take this opportunity to open the arts and culture class, and which this class success in general football exchange and discussions among participants from the different countries in our great region. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Pisi and Mrs. Thank you for your opening ceremony. So now we have a warm welcome from our Head of Center of ASEAN Studies. I would just, if you have the program, would you mind taking it out? And we will go through briefly. It's in the folder in the first page. There is a program of our cross-cultural class. So before we get into details, as I have mentioned, we will have 10 Thai buddies and 20 foreign students. And each foreigner in the afternoon will pick up names of the Thai buddies. So there will be 2 foreign students with 1 Thai buddy. So that this Thai buddy will help you understand, explain the culture, translate it when you go to many sites and do activities. But it's not limited that you have to get to know only this Thai buddy. Try to get to know everyone here. Try to get to know the different culture. You're all from different regions of the world, so get to know that too. And also experience the new activities that are provided and try to be open. And it might be strange in a way, but it will be exciting, and I really think that will benefit you as well. Anyway, so if looking according to the program, today we would have different special lectures, and then in the afternoon at 3:15 we have a getting to know you activity. So that is where you will pick up the names of your buddies, and then you get to know each other. So tomorrow at 9, you would want to be on time, because the cars, if there are cars that leaving, say in the afternoon or the other days, you would want to be on time, because when the car will leave, and then you might don't want to miss out on that. So tomorrow at 9 there is a natural herbal soap workshop at the Faculty of Social Science. Does anybody here know where social science is? No? You know? Not sure? Okay. So we'll explain you where each place is. But social science is across human communities. Anybody know where humanities is? You know? Okay, so it's right across humanities. It's also near the library. So if you can get to the library, you can try to see if social science is right there. So next and then you'll have lunch, and then at 1 you will be visiting Chiang Mai City Art and Cultural Center. There will be a red truck. Have anybody experienced those red trucks? Yeah? Okay. So that red truck will take you to the Chiang Mai City Art and Cultural Center. Make sure to bring your student card. If you have student card, make sure to bring that with you. And then we will visit the Silver Temple. In Thai we call it Wat Si Supan. Wat Si Supan. Yeah. So it's a very beautiful silver-covered temple, and it's near. On Saturday there's a night market there. So if any chance in the future you go visit the night market, you can stop by at the temple as well. And there's also other temples nearby. If you have time, they would take you there as well. Now looking at day 3, at 8, make sure you make a mark there. It's at 8, very early, but make sure to be on time because the car is leaving. So you will be going to Tai Lu. This is Tai Lu. Tai Lu. They are sort of a Thai, like in the same family, like Thai Yai, Tai Lu. It's from the same family, but they have their own like identity. So you will visit the village, and you will meet at the parking lot at Economics faculty. The parking lot at Faculty of Economics. Anybody know where Faculty of Economics is? No? Okay. You don't know? It's a bit hard to find. Yeah, when you go, I'll explain later, but it's a bit tricky, but make sure to be at the parking lot at the Faculty of Economics. And then at the village, you'll be learning at this house. If you see, it says Ban Bai Bun. Ban Bai Bun. And this is where you'll be learning the Thai traditional granary, the equipment, accessories that are exhibited at the historical village. Next, in the evening, you'll be going to a flea market. I think they are organizing a flea market for you and also a kantok dinner. A kantok dinner is where there has like a big tray with different food, and then you sit around and you share and you eat together. Pretty traditional. Not very familiar, like you won't find that easily in normal Thai life, but it's a very traditional northern way of eating. Next, on the day 4 at 8:30, again, meeting at the parking lot of Economics faculty, you are learning how to cook Thai food. Excited? Excited? No? Yes? No? Okay. I can't cook, so I can't say that. But anyway, we're going to Ban Thai Cooker School. So make sure you come on time. And the Thai cooking class, you'll be making pad Thai. Anybody knows pad Thai? Tried before? No? Yes? Pad Thai. Tom yum goong. Tom yum goong. Some of you like tom yum goong. And som tam. Anybody tried som tam? It's a spicy papaya salad. Must try. Must try. Okay. And then you'll be visiting a fresh market. Fresh market here, more like local market, to learn how to buy raw materials to make those food. And then we have a certificate ceremony, the closing ceremony, and then we hope that you guys get to know each other throughout the program and still keep in touch, exchange contacts, get to know each other's culture, and have fun, okay? All right, so now we would like to invite Ajahn Chayapat Wareenil, Research and Foreign Relations Officer of the Institute of East Asian Studies, Thammasat University, to give us a special lectures series on ASEAN Identity into 21st century.
Good morning, everybody. This morning I'm so excited because it's like my second time that I have to give a speech in English because my English is really broken. Yeah, today Dr. Nisit assigned me to give a talk about ASEAN identity in the 21st century. When you hear it, it feels like it's really easy, but it's not because it's really wide, a lot of information, and you have to prepare really well information. But today I'm going to talk like a traveler style, not scholar. And all of the presentations I'm going to present to you by pictures, not informations. Because within these 5 years, I have been to China or Southeast Asian countries. I think each country I've been there more than 5 times. Yeah, and for example, like this year, I've been to China 6 times, Beijing, Guangzhou, Shanghai, Kunming, Nanning, and some other cities. China, within this 5 years, I've been to China more than 30 times. And the other country in Southeast Asia is like Cambodia 10 times, Myanmar 10 times, Singapore 8 times. Yeah, that's why today I'm going to speak by traveler experience, not scholar. Because I'm not the expert. Okay, everybody know, right? We have 10 members of ASEAN. Different culture, different economy, different political system, and the locations of Southeast Asia, as everybody knows. ASEAN is the organizations, but Southeast Asia is one region in Asian continent. Yeah. When I ask my friend, what do you think about Southeast Asian country or ASEAN member state? When they talk about Myanmar, they're gonna think like they want to go to see Bagan, the seas of Pagoda here, the city in the middle part of Myanmar, or this is Hoi An. Some of you have been there? And if you have been there, you should go there for one time in your life. Right? You can take balloon to see the wheels from the bird eye views, and this is the ancient city in the middle part of Vietnam. It's called Hoi An. And this is Myanmar, and this is Vietnam, and this is where? Bangkok, right? Narut, and this is Boracay in the Philippines. If you want to swim with a shark whale in the deep blue sea, I recommend you to go to this place. And also, this is, where is it? Vientiane. Vientiane in Laos, or Thai people call Vientiane. Yeah. And this is Bali in Indonesia. You can see in Southeast Asian country or ASEAN member state, we have very rich culture and natural resources. And this is Malaysia. This is from the opinion of my friend when I asked them, so if you have chance to travel to Southeast Asian country, what's in your minds? And all of this friend that they always say to me. Yeah, this is Angkor Wat. Someone say, have you ever heard it? See Angkor and Die by Thomas Hoyley, one of the Western writer. He said, see Angkor Wat and Die. In your one time in your life, you must visit this place. And this is the World Heritage Place in Cambodia. Singapore and Brunei. Brunei is the only one country that I never been in Southeast Asia. Yeah. So, what is the identities of ASEAN? When I ask many people, when I hear from the media, they always say that the diversities. Culture, diversity of culture, political systems. For example, like in Vietnam at this moment, they still use communist system to rule the country. And the beliefs, Philippines, they are Christians. Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, and Myanmar, most of the people, they are Buddhist. And the development is also one of the identities of ASEAN. If you have chance to visit like Cambodia, Laos, or Myanmar, they need more development. They need more improvements of the infrastructure. Many places in Cambodia, they don't have electricity. It's just far from the city, like 1 or 2 kilometers, but they don't have electricity or water to use. And also, digital disruptive. Yeah, but let me analyze this by SWOT. What ASEAN have and what is the strength or weakness of ASEAN Right, the strange. So if you want to do some business in ASEAN member states, now we have such a big population, but less than China. Don't compare with China because you have much more than the other country in the world, right? We have more than 5 million people with of natural resources. You can see in Myanmar, they have a lot of mining projects and the diversified society, right? Big people, big amount of people. You can see from this picture. In the morning when you wake up in Hanoi, you're gonna see these situations. And you know, Hanoi is the most city that if you want to applaud the street, they don't have, nobody care. You just walk. If you wait, you have to wait for a whole day. No chance to applaud. This is all day long, but it's more crowded in the morning. Yeah, and this is Jakarta. Jakarta, if you have heard from the media, they say Jakarta has the worst congestions in the world. You know, from the airport to the city center of Jakarta, it's just like 20 kilometers, but you need to take like 2 hours to reach to the city center. Bangkok is the same. And this is the place in the northern of Vietnam. This is, you can see like this when you go in rainy seasons. But in winter season, you're gonna see the snow here. In Southeast Asia, we also have snow, but only in the northern of Myanmar and Vietnam. Right? And this is the Guangxi waterfall in Luang Prabang in Laos, the deep blue water. So the weakness points in ASEAN, many countries still has political conflicts. For example, like my country and Myanmar, they have a different ethnic group. They still has the political conflict between the military and the political party. The corruption is also the big problem that which ASEAN member states, some of the ASEAN member states can move really slow. For example, like in Laos, you know, when we talk about good governance there, nobody talk about it. So if you want to do the business there, you know, money is the most important thing that you need to use, or everything, the license, or what do you want to have in that country, you just pay. You just need to have the connections with the government officer. It's gonna make everything easier and faster. Right? The poverty. Many countries in Southeast Asia, especially in the mainland Southeast Asia, Laos, Cambodia, Myanmar, and some part of Vietnam, there have many people still poor. And also the Philippines. If you travel to Manila, in the city center, you're gonna see it's like, oh, really modern. But it, next to the beautiful building, just only one block, you're gonna see big slum or the homeless all around the cities. This is one of the identity I can say that you can see in many big cities of Southeast Asian country. Human rights, we still have the country which still use communist systems, and we still have the political dictator in some country, inequalities, and friendship or competitor. You know, in many ASEAN member states, for example, like Thailand, Laos, Vietnam, we export rice, but we never had the cooperation spoken. We treat the other as a competitor, who can export more, who can sell by the cheaper price. Is it friendship? I don't think so. It's like we treat each other as a competitor. We never had the real cooperations. We just, you know, use ASEAN to show the world that we are unity. But in fact, there are many business that we still compete to each other. Right? This is in the big cities. This is Manila. where you can see it's just not so far from the city center. And this is Bangkok. In the downtown Bangkok, you still can see this kind of house. And political conflict, sometimes you can see it's about 4 to 5 years ago. No, 7. Right. And sometimes in Myanmar. Right. The opportunity, if you want to do some business here, the rising market in many countries, especially like Cambodia, if you travel at this moment, you're gonna see many infrastructure projects, you're gonna see many real estate projects, which just emerging a few years ago. And all the countries, especially the mainland Southeast Asia, they need more basic infrastructure. Many countries, especially the mainland country, low labor costs. Yeah, many people in the world treat Cambodia as the garment factory of the world. For example, big group of new generations people. You can do some business with these people. Get bigger and bigger if you want to do have some business, especially in the developing country like CLMV. Right. This is the infrastructure projects in the city centers of Phnom Penh. If you go at this moment, you're going to see many buildings look like this, and some part invested by China, some part invested by South Korea. Is the biggest investor in real estate projects, but the biggest investor in all kind of business is China in Cambodia. And this is the high-speed railway project from Kunming to Vientiane, Laos. Now it's complete about 70%, and Laos government says we can use this one in the years of 2023, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, and this is the pictures from the garment factory. You know, in Cambodia, the main income of the people come from the garment factory. But the labor cost, when they go to work one day, they can get just only $6 to $8. In Thailand, at least now we pay $10, but in Cambodia they still pay just only $6 to $8. And this is the fish factory, I think it's in Samut Sakhon province in Thailand. The threat, yeah, some countries in Southeast Asia really like too much on foreign investor. For example, like Cambodia, Myanmar, and Laos. Laos, 80% of investors come from China, especially the big mega projects like dams, real estate projects, infrastructure projects, especially in the northern, most come from China. And the major power influence is another one threat: US, China, Japan, also Russia. You know, Russia is one of the strong friends of Vietnam, and Vietnam chose Russia to be like a very close friend because of the South China dispute. Yeah, and yeah, when you travel around Phnom Penh, you're gonna see the under construction buildings planning all around the capital cities of Cambodia. But many of them invested by the Chinese investor, and this is the highway project from the northern of Laos to the capital city. Within this 30 years, Chinese complete all of these projects, and some still under constructions. This is 30 years that the Chinese has been investing in Myanmar. And then what happened in ASEAN member now? I would like to show you some showcase. After I traveled to this country The first country that I need to tell you, Cambodia now, they have 16 million of their populations. The GDP, 1,706 USD per year. Economies, the main income come from garment factory. 80% of the income from 80% of the garment factory owned by Chinese investor. And once the Cambodian labor want to ask for more labor cost, you know what happened? The Chinese investor says, "Oh, if you ask for more labor cost, I think we need to move our factory to the other country." Then nothing happened. The Cambodian people still get just only 6 to 8 USD per day. The tourism, Angkor Wat, Sihanoukville, and agriculture. 30% of the GDPs come from agriculture, 30% from garments, and another 40% come from these two industries. Right. And this is the big foreign investor in Cambodia: China, South Korea, Japan, Thailand, and Vietnam. But they focus on the different sector. China, infrastructure, real estate project. South Korea, real estate project, condominium. Japan, also real estate project, car industry, garment industry. Thailand also the consumer products, and Vietnam also the consumer products, which all of this country export to sell in Cambodia. Yeah, big infrastructure. But Cambodia, especially Phnom Penh, is, I think from my experience, Phnom Penh is the fastest development city. If we compare with the other country in each country, like Vientiane, Yangon, or Hanoi, Phnom Penh is the fastest one from my experience. This year I've been to all of these cities, but Phnom Penh changed too fast than the other. Right. This is Phnom Penh, and when you travel to Phnom Penh, you're gonna see the real estate project. Inside the real estate project, they always build a house like this to sales, and the price start from 6 million baht. The minimum price. The Cambodian people, they still prefer to live in the big house with many bedrooms because they live, like a big family, grandparents, parents, and kids. They still live together, traditional style. And they don't have one floor house to sell. They have just at least 2 floors or 3 floors. Garment factory. The main income is Angkor Wat. Yeah, and this is the bridge to across from the west side to the east side, which many real estate projects are emerging. It's built by Chinese government, donated by Chinese government, this bridge. Right. And if you travel to Sihanoukville, you're gonna see many hotels which built by the Chinese investor. In Sihanoukville there is a beach. The distance of that beach is around 7 kilometers. In the past, it was the place for the local people, but now, it's already owned by the Chinese investor. Hotel, casino, restaurants. Everything in this city is already changed. Right. And this is the beachfront of the Sihanoukville. You're gonna see many tourists. It's similar like in Thailand. The restaurants owned by the Chinese investor. Chinese is the biggest investor in Cambodia. Casino. And the most important thing is that if you want to invest in this country, and you need to have in your own factory or your business, is this. the picture. The owners of the business need to take the pictures with this guy. You know this guy? The Prime Minister of Cambodia, Mr. Hun Sen. Almost of the factory in Cambodia, they have the picture like this to prove that they have such a really good connections with the government. And it's like to secure your business. No, if you have the picture like this, no one want to touch, no one want to bother you because they're afraid that if they come and bother you, you're gonna inform to the government directly to this guy, the Prime Minister. Yeah, you need to have it if you want to do the business there. This can guarantee your business you safe. Right. The opportunities for investment in Cambodia, the number of teenagers and working people is increasing, and many of them has better education. Now the new generations of Cambodian peoples, if they can speak English, if they have such a very good degree from the university, and if they can speak the other language, the salary will start from at least 800 USD per month. Because in Cambodia now, they still have many international NGO and foreign investors. English and some other foreign languages is really important. That's why they can get much more income. Real estate continues to expand. If you want to do the business there, you can think about the interior design or landscape or furniture or whatever relate to house, relate to the living place. And Thai products are still popular among Cambodians. If you ask the Cambodian people what product do you need to buy, they're gonna choose Thai product first, Vietnam, and Chinese is the second choice. There are many foreign investors, international agencies after the war, the Khmer War, right? There are many international NGO and foreign investors remains and do the business and run some development projects right there. Successful business. Brown coffee. Brown coffee is not the foreign investor owned. It's local people, it's a local brand. Within these 2 years, in Phnom Penh, only in Phnom Penh, he can open more branches. From the first year, he opened the owner, they opened just only 3 branches. Now, he has 18 branches in Phnom Penh, really fast. And the slogan of this one, the owner says that it looks really good like Starbucks, but cheap like Amazon. Amazon coffee in Thailand, right? This is one of the successful business there. And this is the most popular business there. When you ask the new generations of the people for the meetings, they're gonna say it's brown or Amazon coffee. This is from Thai investor PTT, the owner of this business, right? But if you want to do the business in Cambodia, this is all the things that you need to know. It's like the forbidden things. Political dispute, you don't need. It's a forbidden topic to talk in this country. The judicial process was influenced or everything controlled by the government. That means even the justice court is under control by the government, not higher than the government. Right? Transportation routes is not convenient. And that means if you want to export and transport your goods from Thailand to Cambodia, you need to pay more. Regulations and procedures are not one standard because it depends on the officer. Maybe you need to pay more to the officers. Corruptions is the normal things, right? not only in Cambodia, I mean, many countries in the mainland Southeast Asia, the rule change frequency is depend on the officer as well. If you want to do the business in this country, all of these things are the most important that you need to know. Right. And another showcase, what had happened in Southeast Asia or ASEAN member country, in Britain homes, right? I'm gonna start from the relations between China and Laos, right? What they have shared is the borderline, and about to this is a number from Lao government that they inform. But the fact is, some Lao people said almost 1 million in Laos at this moment. Agreements on the implementations of China Aid Mahosos project. Mahosos is the biggest hospital in Laos, and the expressway from the borders of China and Laos to the capital city. Dams was invested by the Chinese, more than 50 dams now. World Bank's economists have calculated that China accounts for around 44% of Laos public debt in 2015. Right, this is a project, railway projects, high-speed railway projects. Yeah. And this is a casino. It's not far from the borders of Thailand. I think Chiang Rai. The biggest real estate project in the capital city of Laos. Right. And now we move to Myanmar-China relations. This is the special relations and different from the other country because the relations between Myanmar and China, we can divide it into 6 layers. One is G to G, government to government, as everybody knows. Military, every year the Chinese, your government, open the seat for the Myanmar student to go to study in military academy, about 32 seats, and for every year. They have such a very good relations between two sides. Political party. Before Aung San Suu Kyi became a state advisor and foreign minister, the Chinese government invited the leader from NLD to visit China for 1 month, and they took all of the NLD leaders to visit all the big countries in your country, in China. Shanghai, Beijing, Nanjing, Nanning, Kunming, Guangzhou. Minorities, even the country ruled by the central government, but if you want to do business or if you want to sell some of your goods to sales in some other states in Myanmar, you need to have the connections with the minority groups in Chan state, in Kachin state, in Phaya state. Religions is also important for the Chinese because Chinese government know that the Myanmar people really believe in Buddhism, and in Shanghai there is one of the most important things for the Buddhist people is called the Lord Buddha teach. You know that, right? Lord Buddha teach in Jing An Temple. The Chinese government, they bring it, they brought it to Myanmar and leave it there for half a year. And this is the thing that the Myanmar people really want to see. And they are really respect. And people to people relations. Now the Chinese government has a regulations. If some of the Chinese investors want to invest in Myanmar, you need to take course, it's called Myanmar study for 15 days to learn everything about Myanmar. If you don't pass this course, your government not allow you to have the business in Myanmar. This is the regulations from the Chinese government. Because before the government set up this program, the Chinese investor always think, everything is really easy. Whatever they want to do, they just do it. But finally, they broke the rule and they collapsed their business because they don't have the license. When the government comes to check it, they don't have anything to show. That's why the Chinese government set up this the Myanmar study course for the new Chinese investor who want to invest in Myanmar. And this is the bilateral trade with China. Last year, massive Chinese infrastructure investments include Sino-Myanmar oil pipelines. The distance is around 1,700 kilometers from the Andaman Seas to the borders of China. And since 2016, China is the biggest foreign investor in Myanmar in many kind of business sector. Right. This is the distance of the pipeline and gas project from this to Kunming. This is the route. Right. 2 centimeter this is. And if you travel to Myanmar, you can classify which one is the local people, which one is the visitor from the address. Right. Chinese business in the northern of Myanmar. He is Chinese. He opened the local shop in Mandalay. If you travel to Mandalay, you're gonna see some of the shops look like this, but it's owned by the Chinese investor. And this is the opening ceremony of some buildings in Mandalay, which owned by the Chinese investor as well. And this is a business, bus, Huawei, right? More popular in Myanmar at this moment. Move to Vietnam. This is the sequence of the relations between the two countries. You can see is there. But the two countries, they treat each other as economy, as enemy. And some of the scholars says, if you want to study about Vietnam-China relations, you have to look at the relations between the two communist parties. But for myself, I can say after I have been working with the Chinese government for more than 5 years, the relations between the two communist parties, they don't have it. They really don't have it. They have the special hotline when they have some, special occasions or special situations happen. But they use it just only to say, Happy New Year, Happy Birthday, right? They don't use it for, deliver the information between the two sides. Because Vietnam, especially the Vietnamese leader, Vietnamese Communist Party, they still not trust. Vietnam also still thinks, they think that they lost the two countries, which used to be their close friends. The two countries, Laos and Cambodia. Vietnam said, I think we lost these two countries, which used to be our close friends. Because at this moment, in the past, when Cambodia and Laos want to send the high-level officer for training, they always send this kind of people to have a training in Vietnam. But at this moment, it's less and less. Now, more of the officers, they always travel to China for a training. This is the thing that can prove. This is another sequence of the relations between China and Vietnam. All of of this, I just want to show you that the situations which already happens in the past, the important situations. But all of this talk about only the conflict. Yeah, this is not the this is no more not the conflict. This is talk about the business that they do together. That the Chinese investor invest in Vietnam. What Chinese government do in Vietnam? This is all about at this moment. Yeah, but you know, in Hanoi, they're gonna have the SkyTrain to use within, I think, 2021. Yeah, the government said, but it invests by Korea, not China, not the Chinese investor. This is the bridge in the northern. It's connect to China. It's called Hekou border pass. This is the business that the Chinese investor invests in Vietnam, some garments and steel. Right. And then we talk about Thailand. You know, when they ask the Chinese government, they always say Thailand is one of the best country in Southeast Asia because we never have like a conflict during these 50 years. Thailand never says something so bad to China. That's why. But however, Xi Jinping never had the state visit to Thailand because of some special reasons, but we must talk behind the scene. Off record. This is what China do in Thailand. This is Chinese Cultural Center in Bangkok, the big building. And when I ask my Chinese friend, when they come to Thailand for the first time, you know, they want to go to see the Grand Palace. This is Maya Bay in Krabi province. And this is old Chinatown. This is new Chinatown in Bangkok. You know, in Thailand we have 4 biggest group of Chinese overseas. The biggest one is Tajiu, or you call Chao Zhou Hua, right? Right, the biggest group in Thailand is Chao Zhou. And the second one is from Fujian, Hokkien. And the third one is Hainanese. Hainan, right. And another biggest one is Kejiaren. Right, there are many Kejia in Thailand. And this is what just happened from the earliest of this year, the impact of China's US trade war to the Mekong region. Right. To Cambodia, the Cambodian government and the people, they think what they can get from the conflict is relocations of US factory to their country from China to Cambodia, lower labor costs, which attract to the US investor, right? But mainly on garment factory, clothes and shoe, and also bag. This is what the Cambodian government announced. Right, what they can get from the conflict between the big country, US and China. And this is Myanmar. Okay, I give you the overview information on this country. This is GDPs, populations, economic sector, also relies on garments, oil and gas, games, and tourism. So if you want all of this, you can take my presentations from the computer. Yeah. What Myanmar can get from the conflict between the two countries is tourism. Myanmar believes that they will get more tourists in this year, and also cattle export. After the conflict had happened, Chinese ordered more cow and buffalo from Myanmar. The order has increased 10 times. In case of Vietnam, this is the GDP growth, populations, economic sectors for the income is industrial manufacturing, agriculture, fisheries, and forests. Energy, mining, service, and tourism. The positive impacts from US-China trade war. This is from Vietnam scholar. This says many investors leave China for Vietnam to avoid high tariff. The opportunity for Vietnam to export to US and China as well. Right. Negative impact. Vietnam is a part of China's supply chains. Yeah. And Chinese products to flood Vietnam. That means the Vietnamese people also afraid that they're gonna face with the huge products from Chinese. Thailand. This is a funny story, but it's Dr. Nisit, he knows it. We never thought that one day these things would become the conflict in international politics. It's not a conflict, In the past, in Thailand, if you buy it, like last year, it's just 30 baht, 25 baht to 30 baht per kilogram. But at this moment, after the US-China's conflict had happened, now it's 60 to 70 baht per kilogram. Because, many Chinese, you like, especially in the southern, right? Many people eat it, right? Right? And then, in the past, you order from the US. But after the conflict, you stop to order this thing from the US. And that means your country needs to look for the new place to import it. And Thailand is the only one country which qualifies in the feasting system, and also because your government don't want to order it from Malaysia because of the political conflict, some things. Yeah, Thailand is the only one country which qualifies to your standard. And then, in the past, Thailand, we kill one chicken. We sell the body to European country. We sell the wings to Japan. And we cut this just only sells in the domestic market. But at this moment, there are more and more orders from China. CP, and there are just only 4 companies in Thailand who can export this thing to China. CP is the biggest one, Jota company. CP, Saham Farm, Betapro, and the other one is, I think, Sangwon Farm, or, yeah. And in last year, at this moment, the demand from China, at least per month, 2,000 tons. But 4 companies in Thailand can produce just only 300 tons per month. That means, that's why the price is increasing more and more. And now, there are many Chinese businessmen, politicians, need to have such a really good connections with this company and Thai government. And they need to have such a really good connections with Thai government, the minister or high level officer to force this company to export more. Because there are so many provinces, from China, many provinces need it. That means they have to compete to each other to get more quota. My friend, Dr. Nisit and I know, right? He receives more than 100 emails per day to ask for more chicken feet. Look at this. How chicken feet becomes the most important products at this moment. I never thought. For me, I don't eat it. I don't like it. Because when I see it like this, oh my God, I don't want to eat it. Right? And this is the impact from the US-China trade war to Thailand. The positive side, export electronics products to US, more Thai products in China, more agricultural products export to US and China exports. Cassava chips to US, soybean to China. And we also have some negative impact from this conflict as well. Flood of Chinese products, electronics components in China's supply chains. Yeah. And this is just a joke. Somebody says the red carpet provide only Trump and family, not for the guests. Is it not a good manner? Right. Okay, this is all about that I want to talk to all of you today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ajahn Chayapat Wareenil, for your amazing lecture on ASEAN identity in the 21st century. So, as we have heard, and just to briefly summarize, you can see many perspectives of ASEAN identities, and you can see the complexity of ASEAN being as a community in this diverse, and also the challenges that it faces. And as we learned about this, we can also not only have a tools to approach ASEAN in a way, but also many perspectives to think about and carry on in the future. Thank you very much. So next we will have a short break for 10 to 15 minutes. I believe the breaks are outside. If you would go there, you can leave your stuff. I don't think nobody will take it. So feel free to do that. The toilet is back behind. So if you walk out the door, it's on the right, and behind there, the toilet's there. And then we'll be back at 10:30.